Evacuate us. East Palestine residents erupt in anger as Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw fails to turn up again at community town hall. As his representative says, we feel horrible about train crash. East Palestine resident erupted in anger after Norfolk Southern CEO fails to show up again at the town hall meeting. As his representative told the crowd the company feels horrible about the crash. Emotions ran high at the town hall meeting on Thursday evening in East Palestine as residents yelled at an EPA representative not to lie to them, and they questioned, "Where's Alan?" As the railroad CEO Alan Shaw failed to once again show up in the small town. This is the second time the CEO, who makes $4.5 million, has failed to show up for East Palestine residents, as he did not show up to the meeting 2 weeks after the derailment. Many residents took to the stand to detail their harrowing stories of children falling ill and projectile vomiting from the side effects of the February 3 train derailment, as well as those who have lost everything from property value to farm animals. Despite the evacuation orders being lifted for several weeks, community members are still calling for a re-evaluation, as many do not believe the symptoms they are feeling and environmental disaster they are witnessing with their own eyes is safe. "By the grace of God, get our people out of here," one anger patron said at the end of the very heated meeting. "How long is that going to take? I'm watching my family slowly dying in front of my eyes." "It's been a month," an angry mother questioned. Another woman, who lives in the area, said the derailment has affected her on every level. She said, "This has touched my family, this has touched my friends, this has touched my farm, this has touched my animals, this has touched my finances, and this has touched my home. And it will touch me to the cellular level when I get diagnosed with cancer or ALS or whatever is going to come down the road if I stay in this contaminated, toxic town. And you all know it," she said. "Norfolk is a Goliath and we are no match." Several residents also complained at the town hall meeting that they were struggling to get someone to their homes to test for chemicals, despite the EPA representative saying the agency has tested nearly 600 homes. The EPA Region 5's number one priority is and always will be the health and safety in communities across the region and those that live here, the representative said. She also said the EPA is monitoring air quality at 16 stations in the community and said the agency has not detected any volatile compounds above levels of health concern in the community that are attributed to the train derailment. The comment garnered a round of boos from the crowd. "Don't lie to us," one man yelled it out. One man from a surrounding town said his skin fall off after touching a soil machine. When he described the horrific moment, Norfolk Southern Representative Darrell Wilson didn't have much to say, besides seek medical attention. Several residents were quick to share how they still are unable to come back, despite the evacuation order being lifted. Long-term resident, Josh, who has spent his whole life in East Palestine, revealed that his family of 5 were crammed into one bedroom, sleeping on a single air mattress at his brother's home because it is unsafe to return to his own home. "It's the only place I've got, I can't afford to go nowhere," he said. "Why? Because I have a home, I own it, I've put my life into it. You know, just like we know, what happened here was catastrophic. It's not going to get better overnight. We have people living here. Do you live here?" He questioned the panel. "You can tell us and treat us like we're children, tell us about the statistics. The point is, you've got a chemical disaster like this, exploding, the dioxins, it's there, you can't say it's not. If this happened to your grandchildren or your children, you'd pull them out of here, but you're letting people stay here or you're covering it up," he said. "The reality is we got to get out. You can't leave here while it's happening, because it's not going to get better until it's gone." Josh has spent the last 15 years trying to build myself up in the small town and put everything we've got into our home. "I love this town more than anyone else," he said several times. Another woman, who lives a mile from the derailment, claims people are becoming so ill by the derailment that they're driving down the road looking like they're driving under the influence. "I've watched 6 or 7 people in 10 minutes swerve and almost hit people in cars parked," she said. She also said she becomes ill after only 30 minutes inside her home. "You were telling me it's okay for me to bring my kids into my house. When after 30 minutes I'm there, I throw up, my mouth goes numb, I can't think properly, my head pounds so hard it takes 3 hours from when I leave the area for it to dissipate," she said. "I know for a fact that you're all experienced a symptom, you know you have," she told the panel. "You leave and it goes away, I'm struck." Another man said he and his wife are concerned our property is a total loss, and despite it tearing our hearts up to leave it, they can't sell it because of the derailment. Another father revealed his child threw up the second I got him home. "The second I got him on the top bunk, he projectile vomited," the father said. One of the representatives on the panel said they are collecting health data from the area, but it would take 3 weeks. Now, cleanup workers are falling ill, as well. Workers aiding in the cleanup of toxic materials at a train derailment site are falling ill with migraines and nausea. The revelation came in the form of a letter from labor leaders to the White House and Ohio's governor on Wednesday that claimed workers may have been willingly exposed to harmful chemicals at the direction of Norfolk Southern, the company that owns the derailed freighter. Within hours, The letter led to a meeting between the union heads and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg in Washington on Wednesday to discuss the February 3 derailment and its potential repercussions. Officials confirmed on Thursday that the meeting centered around potential improvements to rail safety, as well as the 40 workers ordered to the cleanup site in East Palestine last month, and their aforementioned symptoms. Meanwhile, Norfolk Southern continues to face scrutiny over the incident. The company's CEO is poised to testify before the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee next week, amid calls for renewed rail safety regulations. His company has publicly promised to clean up an estimated 30,000 truckloads of toxic waste wrought by the wreck, while vowing to invest in East Palestine for the long term. Despite the promise to invest in the small town, residents are not happy with Shaw's attendance record, nor his company's plan on how to clean up the spill. Wilson said they are ready to start at 6 a.m. tomorrow to begin removing contaminated soil from underneath their tracks. It is unclear when the operation will begin. Residents, however, are unhappy, as their farmland and residential areas are still contaminated. They claim, "We're going to clean up the site, we're going to test," Wilson said on Thursday evening. He also claimed that it took so long to begin cleanup because it took some time to find where the contamination is. To which residents screamed back, "It's everywhere." The plan by Norfolk Southern is to dig up the south track first, remove the contaminated soil, and then move on to the north track, where the cars derailed. Residents, however, are concerned that if both tracks are taken care of at the same time, the south side will become contaminated again. Residents are requesting trains stop being run on those tracks until the cleanup is finished, but Wilson seemed irritated by the suggestion. "You said you wanted to dig it up, so we have a plan to do that," Wilson said in an icy tone. "It's simple engineering. The EPA has ordered Norfolk Southern to test for dioxins." In a press release today, the agency said the EPA will require Norfolk Southern to conduct a background study to compare any dioxin levels around East Palestine to dioxin levels in other areas not impacted by the train derailment. If dioxin levels are found to be high in the area, the EPA will order an immediate cleanup. In response to concerns shared with me by residents, EPA will require Norfolk Southern to sample directly for dioxins under the agency's oversight and direct the company to conduct immediate cleanup if contaminants from the derailment are found at levels that jeopardize people's health, EPA Administrator Michael S. Regan read in the press release.